You're listening to Last Word Radio, where you get the last word.
Welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast, part of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. This is May the 14th, 2019. With you today is myself, Carl, and the always wonderful Nick. The third round is here. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
So you got for me today? It's a big day. We've got lots of series. We're going to wrap up the second round of the playoffs and get to the third round, where we've got 4 teams left. A quarter of them are gone. Let's do it.
Yeah, they've been great.
Nick is as chatty as always. Let's find out what we could get. What's going on? Why the lack of chatter?
Just having fun.
You're a fun guy. You're a regular Kawhi Leonard.
You know what, Carl? I learned something last week when the Bruins won the Blue Jacket, beat the Blue Jackets.
They won the Blue Jacket. Mm-hmm.
They won the Blue.
It's like the Masters when you win the Green Jacket.
Yeah, but that's nicer than the Blue Jacket, I think.
Maybe.
I learned how to deal with hostile interviewers.
Okay.
And don't think I forgot about the time where I came on the show and I had an injury and I opened up about it and I dealt with weeks of being made fun of. And I called soft hands Nick. And so, yeah, I sorry for, fighting back a little bit here.
I'm actually amazed how many people still refer to you as soft hands Nick.
It's a lot.
It's a shockingly large amount of people. Dude, that might be the only thing they know about you. He's Nick, he's a fan of the Red Wings, and his hands are gentle.
Dude can't tie skates.
Yeah, it's going to blister up real good. Well, that's good. So are you on the Bruins bandwagon now? They beat your Blue Jackets. Have you switched?
No, that's not how bandwagons work. It's not like they just bump into you and suddenly you're on it.
I don't know. You're going full Brad Marchand on us right now.
Look, the Bruins have worked. They worked hard in the first round.
Yeah. They
got to work much harder to change my allegiance. At this point, I'm cheering for the Blue Jackets in 2020.
You don't even care what happens the rest of the way here. Whatever, that's fine.
I can't cheer for the Bruins, Carl.
No one can.
Especially now with Marchand back to his old way. Like, not just the press stuff, which I thought was silly, but, like stepping on sticks and punching guys in the back of the head. I can't do it.
And getting away with all of it as well.
Getting away with all of it.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
Yeah. Well, we will get to that. We will get to what's happening this week. What we will also do is we will remind you of the fine folks at ATB Financial, the official bank of the Fourth Line Podcast, where you can head and switch your bank to them and know that you are being part of a group that is supporting your community, supporting the sport hockey that you love, which is why you're listening to the show. And just get a quality product as well. ATB Financial is the bank of choice for us, the Alberta Podcast Network, and hopefully you. Strongly recommend head to atb.com, where you can find out more about all the things that they can do for you. Let's start with the series that have ended. There have been 3 series that ended. One of them ended literally like before we could get this episode out. We hoped strongly that the Blue Jackets would win.
Oh, that one was a heartbreaker.
They did not.
They didn't.
So looking into the offseason for the Blue Jackets, we obviously have talked at medium lengths about the facts of Bobrovsky and Panarin leaving, potentially both to Florida. sound the alarms. They're both currently vacationing in Miami as we speak.
Shocker. Didn't Bobrovsky literally move out of Columbus already?
Bobrovsky's house is already up for sale. Yeah, that's happened. Apparently Panarin he's already owned a house in Florida. I think he has a house in Miami, which is why they're vacationing there. So we've got that. Do any of their pending free agents stay in Columbus is the question at hand. They gave up a lot. They also got the furthest in the playoffs they ever had. So I would say worth it.
100% it was worth it. It was worth it as soon as they made it out of the first round.
Agreed, yeah.
Any of them stay, though, I think that Bobrovsky and Panarin are gone, as they've been saying they would be all year. I kind of think Matt Duchene might stay. I would
be, if I were to place bets, they're the leader in the clubhouse for where Duchene goes for me.
Yeah. He seemed to be enjoying it. He scored his first ever playoff goal there.
Which, just so you know, Matt, you did play in Colorado as well.
How many playoff games did he play in Colorado?
At least a series worth.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Because he's the kind of guy who you need to produce.
Yes, for sure.
And he produced this year. He was doing, I think last time we talked about it, he was my Conn Smythe candidate.
Yeah, he had a heck of a playoff.
So yeah, I think he'll probably stay there. Who's the other guy they traded for?
Single.
Keith Kincaid.
Yeah,
I think Keith Kincaid, there's a chance he'll stay.
Okay. Yeah, I would not be surprised if Keith Kincaid stayed.
And then Ryan Zingle. I don't know. I don't think he did what they needed from him. But you know what? The time that he did play in the playoffs, and I know he had limited ice time, I thought he looked pretty good just from watching him. I haven't looked into his stats at all, but
yeah, he was a healthy scratch for some games, right? Not what you want when you pony up and bring a guy in.
Yeah.
And so that being said, there is a price that they would bring him back. He seems like a guy who's willing to go almost anywhere, and Columbus will need forwards, right? You lose Panarin, sure. Ryan Zingle, not the guy you want to slide into that spot, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him back there, but I would certainly look somewhere else for him.
I mean, if Tortorella is going to sit him anyways, why bring him back? This might be the classic Torts effect with him, where player and coach are just not seeing eye to eye. So he chooses a different route and goes to Florida.
Just the entire team, which would be nice. It'd be a nice reunion with Mike Hoffman down there in Florida for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so now we got Boston and Carolina. We talked about Carolina. They had plenty of time to move on. But let's wrap up the East maybe before we head out west.
Yeah.
Boston, Carolina, Boston up to one big in game one, but the closest big win arguably we've seen at the playoffs. Carolina did well for themselves, but the real story of this series is terrible penalty killing and mediocre to terrible goaltending.
But also terrible penalty calls, right? There's been some pretty questionable calls, like that time that Dougie Hamilton just bumped a guy and got called for roughing or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to jump all over refs, but there's reasons for it, for sure.
Yeah, and I guess you got to be able to kill the penalty too.
It's the same. We will get into calls with officials and having to deal with the consequences of that. But like we said with Vegas, San Jose, right? Shouldn't have been 5, but you should also be able to kill 5 minutes. And Carolina wasn't able to, right? They had those quick bang power play goals in game 1. We saw more of the same as game 2 firmly got away from them. Game 3 tonight with a change in net, Nick.
Yeah, it's a scary one.
It's not Yaroslav Halak for Tuukka Rask. That's not what we've got going on here. There's another Curtis McElhinney sighting.
Who would have thought that when he was waived he was waived, right?
Oh yeah.
When he was waived at the start of the year, that he would play, we'd see him twice in these playoffs.
In the conference finals, I don't know what kind of bet it would have taken to get someone to put actual money down on the fact that Curtis McElhinney would play in the conference finals.
Dude, he was in the minors until like April.
But if I had told you Curtis McElhinney plays in the Stanley Cup, in the Eastern Conference Finals, which team is he playing? You're just like, oh, he ends up back on the Leafs, and Freddie gets hurt somehow.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And now he's replacing Peter Mrazek, of all people, and making his way back into the playoffs, which is, I don't know, his numbers, right? He's got a sub 2 goals against. That's good.
In the playoffs?
In the playoffs, yeah. No, not career. Certainly not. not this season.
Yeah, but like, come on, small sample size. How much has he actually played in the playoffs?
Right. He did those against the Islanders. So
okay. Well, the Hurricanes crushed the Islanders offensively.
Yeah, I mean, I think any of us could have done that against the Fighting Barzels. So
yeah, pretty much.
But,
I don't know what to expect from this series, Carl. Well, I do. I just don't want to say it.
Right. With what I saw in games 1 and 2. Now, granted, Carolina went down 0-2 against Washington in the first round, and we all sat here and said, Carolina's done.
Yeah.
Right? Wrap it up. Congratulations, you made it. Proud of you. Big step for the organization. Blah, 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 blah. They're still here, right? Mm-hmm. So I from that side, I have a very hard time writing this team off. And like I said, I think they played a pretty good, they played a winnable game 1. Sure, they lost by 3, but you take, some smarter penalties, you have some better goaltending, which again, it's not easy, easier said than done, but that was, to me, a winnable game 1.
Yeah, I'd agree.
But now we're here, and after watching the way that they came out after that winnable game 1, and it's like Boston was like, okay, this is what we have to do to beat this team. Let's just go do it. And they really put it to them in the second game. Part of me wants to just say sweep, but we've seen Carolina do it.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd call it a sweep. I could see them stealing a game or two. But I don't know, man. It's all going to come down to the goalies. It has to. Their goalies need to step up and turn the Bruins away. And I don't know if McElhinney. Well, I know McElhinney doesn't have it in him, but I don't even think Peter Mrazek has it in him.
No, but at the same time, Mrazek was the one that helped them shut down the Capitals well enough, right? This Bruins team does not have more firepower than the Caps do. And he managed to do that, right? Ovechkin is the best shooter on either of these teams, and they managed to do that, right? So that's the only reason why I look at this and say there is a chance that they can make it out of this alive.
Oh, there's for sure a chance. There's always a chance. My concern with Mrazek, and having watched him when he was with the Red Wings, he's very streaky. And as soon as he starts to fall apart, he kind of gets in his own head, and he has a hard time climbing back up. I do think it's a confidence thing for him because he's got the skill set. He's very athletic, but he just needs the confidence to be able to stand up to these guys. And right now, I think his confidence is hurting a little bit.
Yeah, it for sure looks like. Well, and that's why Rob Brind'Amour went McElhinney for game 3, right?
Yeah.
He saw that. He saw the way that he's doing it. And, that's his job as the coach to figure that out. And hopefully for his sake, he made the right choice. We're all hoping for you.
Hey, by the way, speaking of Rod Brind'Amour, best coach faces in the playoff so far?
Oh, especially of the ones left, right?
Oh, yeah.
Close. Rob Brind'Amour gets, with Torts gone, it's not even close. Torts was a close second.
I love Torts' like acceptance but confused face. Just the smile, but the shake of the head.
Yeah. You know exactly what Torts is thinking at all points in time.
Yeah, it normally starts with an F.
Fact. That's not the F word, but that we're looking for, by the way. It's not.
But yeah, Rod Brind'Amour, best faces of the playoffs.
Yeah, very, very strong. Well, there you go. So that's the East. We've got Carolina, Boston. By the time this episode comes out, we'll know, right? We'll either look silly. I guess I'll look silly because I'll be like, I think, if I had to pick, I'd pick Boston to sweep, and then Carolina will win before this episode comes out, and I'll look like an idiot, or I'll look okay and it'll be 3-0 Boston.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd pick them to sweep. I'd take Carolina winning a game or two.
I mean, I know you've taught me a lot, actually. After last week's episode, I've done some real digging, when it comes to superstitions.
Okay.
I might be turning a corner.
Okay.
You've also taught me something about bandwagons today, that you don't just jump onto one because one hits you. Didn't realize that was the case either. So.
Oh, Carl.
No, that we both know how much effort was put into determining the Carolina Hurricanes bandwagon. So.
Yeah, it was like a whole summer.
It was a whole summer. All we've got to do in the summer. So, obviously still have a soft spot in my heart for the Hurricanes and want them to win. But probably not going to happen. I mean, that would be fantastic if they did, though.
Yeah, we'll see. It's a big mental hurdle they've got in front of them now, but they've got experience. Like, they've got guys behind the bench and on the bench on the ice who have faced this adversity before, who can hopefully guide the younger guys through the mental block.
I don't even think you don't need Justin Williams and Rob Brind'Amour to do this. This literal team with all of these players did it against Washington.
Yeah.
Every single one, I guess Svechnikov didn't because he was Ovechkin concussed, but the rest of the team did, right?
Yep.
Like, all these guys were able to do it once, so.
It's a good point, Carl. It's a good point.
Good point. Let's end on that note.
Okay.
No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I don't know why I can't stop talking about this series now. I really didn't want to before.
Okay.
I can't remember if we talked about this on the show or not. Just a fun fact that the first cup Justin Williams won was with Carolina. The captain of that team was Rod Brind'Amour. Just a cool little tidbit I saw this week.
Nice. So then the next time, if Carolina wins the cup this year, the next time they win the Stanley Cup, Justin Williams is the coach. And who's the next captain? Aho,
I guess, will be the old Luke Skywalker character.
Yeah, he'll go play other places, return for his last hurrah.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, the ending of that Last Jedi movie didn't make a lot of sense to me, so.
I don't know. They're gonna bring it home for the episode 9. It's gonna be fine.
I hope so.
Let's move out west. Nick, did you see the results that happened in Colorado, San Jose?
Did I see the results? I did see the results, Carl. Do I remember the results? Well, let me pull them back up.
So let me remind you of the issue that I mentioned. Foreshadowed this, Nick.
Oh yeah.
There was a goal the Avalanche scored. It was 2-1 Sharks at the time. Nathan McKinnon comes blazing down the wing. Colin Wilson out front, gets the puck, puts it in the net. 2-2 all of a sudden. Game is 2-2. Avalanche have all the momentum. Great things are happening. All of a sudden, we get a review. Offside. Gabe Landeskog being reviewed for being offside. Now, here's the thing. If you did not see this, this is why I'm upset with this for so many reasons. One, there is zero reason Gabe Landeskog should have been on the ice at all. That was obviously we watched it in slow motion, so it looked extra lazy. But Gabe Landeskog with the laziest line change I've ever seen in the playoffs. So we've got that. We've got him making a stupid lazy line change, still being on the ice. Shouldn't have even been there. Okay, that's fine. Then not only is he too lazy to get off the ice, he's also too stupid to even get out of the zone. So he's just standing at the door, waiting for someone to open it for him. So I'm not even, at this point in time, I'm not blaming the NHL, the officials in any way. Okay? He should not have been on the ice. At the same time, how, Nick? How do you look at that review of that and say definitively, by looking at that his skate was or was not onside or offside? As well, I'm just going to ask you a slew of questions and just let you process it all with me at the end.
Yep.
As well. So here's the way that this works. And this is something that's not shown in any of the video that happens. But if you go offside and the linesman, you're on a change, the guy comes on for you, is offside, then goes onside, right? There's the way that if the linesman drops his hand, that player making the change is now onside. One thing we don't see in that video is what the linesman is doing with his hand. So technically, if he drops his hand, Gabe is clear. And we don't see that. And so there's all these things happening. Somehow the NHL thinks that with one camera from the other side of the ice, like somehow we have HD cameras, but the one they use for reviews is still using like 1999. Like we all saw this weekend, we all saw the Vince Carter shot from 2001. We're like, how did you even see a basketball? How did we know where the basketball was, let alone a puck? That's the camera the NHL uses to review offsides. Is the one from, from the Fargo Center in Philly in 2001. That's the one they use. Nonetheless, Nick, that was a turning. But the Avalanche managed to push back. They weren't the better team that entire game, Game 7. But you got to think, that goal doesn't get called back. Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Okay. Lots to, you asked me a lot of questions and then kept going. Okay.
It was a mini rant shack.
It was a bit of a rant shack, yeah. For a second, I was like, is Carl going to be okay? We're going to need to pause here and have a glass of water. Okay. First of all, I've seen guys in beer league catapult themselves over the bench to avoid a too many men on the ice call instead of just waiting for the door to open. And Gabe Landeskog's what, 6 feet tall, a little more.
Yeah, I think he's a 6'2", if you count the hair.
Like, dude, just jump over the bench.
Yeah, it's not that high.
What are you waiting for? You're not at the hotel where the guy's waiting to open the door for you.
Yeah, you did not know the Avalanche actually have hired a concierge to open the door. They're paying him about $6 million. His name's Simeon Varlamov, yeah. And that's what he's doing.
Yeah, hopefully they tip him on their way in. Okay, second of all, these offside reviews have gone too far. This had no bearing, no effect on the goal in any way. Like, what a silly call.
At all. It wouldn't have been called too many men, right? Like, it's not a too many men penalty.
Mm-hmm.
It was just offside.
It was just offside. But the only reason it was just offside is because they can't review the penalty. They can review the offside.
Right. But even still, with where he was at the ice, they wouldn't have called that for a too many men.
I don't think so.
No.
He wasn't participating in the play. But I think that this is just silly. The reason they started reviewing offsides is because Matt Duchene was at the hash marks in the offensive zone and received a pass from outside of it. How they even missed that, I don't know. But that's the reason we have this offside review. And now they're challenging it for silly things like this.
And it's passing, right? Like if there was like an above camera, which is probably what you should do. If you're going to do offside reviews, you need to have at least 3 cameras on the ice, right?
Yeah.
You can have an overhead projector turn the entire ice into a TV screen. And you can't put a camera up there that does the exact same thing, that just shows Hey, maybe let's put like 2 cameras from above on the goal line. It's not that hard.
Yeah, well, I don't think they I don't know. Part of me thinks they don't actually like these offside reviews and they want to make it as hard as possible.
Well, anyways, that's my issue here.
So I agree. It's an issue. And I sympathize and empathize with you. I think that if that goal is allowed, it's a completely different game. Because I thought the Avalanche looked a little more defeated in the third period. And I thought that if they had that momentum and going into the intermission, they were tied and it was basically a fresh score, it could have been a different outcome. But it was just a little too far out of reach for them from that moment on.
Yeah, it was a bit of a struggle for sure at that point in time. I just want, before I forget, they're doing the pregame, game 3 of Canes Bruins. And do you have the game on right now, Nick?
I don't know.
Okay. What you missed was Kyle Bukauskas sitting on the ground interviewing a pig. That is what you missed. Interviewing Hamilton, the mascot for the Hurricanes. That's what Sportsnet has given us for some fantastic pregame content.
It's the Stanley Cup Playoffs, and they're interviewing a literal pig.
Yeah, you've seen Hamilton, their pig.
Yes.
Yeah.
Never seen it speak words.
Well, for some reason, Mr. Bukauskas thought he should get that. Oddly enough, the pig gave him more words than Brad Marchand.
I was going to say, do you think it's because the answers that NHL players gives are that uninteresting?
Yeah.
That they're like, this pig can do better. Just
snorts and chortles. That's all you need out of a pig. It works. Yeah.
Well, that's got to be it's a thing that happened in his career from now on.
That's a thing. You could see the look on his face. It was one of, I just did that. I hadn't.
I just imagine the conversation when the producer pitches this to him. You're going to interview the pig. He's like, I got to interview Marchand again? No.
Not this time.
Not this time.
Well, so Colorado
out.
We talked about Columbus and a lot of what their changes this offseason are. Colorado doesn't really need to do a whole lot.
Yeah. And they're already being talked about as an early favorite for next year.
Well, I think it was Bodog, one of those gambling sites put out their odds. Colorado 5th best odds to win the Stanley Cup next year.
It's not bad, Carl.
No, certainly not.
It's not bad. Plus, you add a top 5 pick to that mix, and in a couple of years, you guys will be making runs. You
add so you get a full season of Cale Makar. You get Patrick Nemeth not on this team. You get Sven Andrighetto. Now that the playoffs are done, he can go sign his KHL deal. That's nice of him.
Mm-hmm.
And then whoever they take 5th. So
here's my question.
Or 4th, rather.
Do you really need both Tyson Barrie and Cale Makar? Or can we just have one?
I think the expendable version is Sam Girard. And from what I saw this playoff, Sam Girard and Cale Makar, we saw a lot of them on the same unit, and they played a very similar style.
Yeah.
If you're moving anyone out of this team, I would be moving Sam Girard.
And he was part of the Duchesne deal, right?
He was, yeah.
I love the way he plays.
Me too. And I'm not saying you should.
Yeah.
But certainly there is the potential, right? You have Makar, you have Sam Girard. We talked a couple weeks ago that in the Seattle expansion draft, they will either have to protect, what is it? It's 8 players, because they don't have enough to do the 7 and 3 with the defensemen. Because they'd have to unprotect one of Tyson Barrie, Cale Makar, Sam Girard, because Eric Johnson is forced to. So one of those 3 is going to be left unprotected. So it's certainly not out of the realm of possibility that one of them gets traded.
Well, hold on. When's the expansion draft? 2020?
Yeah.
So they will not have to protect Makar because he'll still be on his entry-level contract.
Kale, what I do know, I believe it's 2020, whenever it is, because they played him in this playoffs, it left him vulnerable for the
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
So if he had have just started next year, because this does burn a year off his entry-level deal, and he will have played enough games because of his age as well, because he's 20 right now. If he had been 19, he wouldn't have needed to be protected.
Well, then Tyson Barrie's gone, right? Ahead of the expansion draft.
That does seem like the one, right? He's the oldest. Yeah. He's got that extra time and only 2 years left on his deal. So,
and he's about to sign his big boy contract.
Is that I guess, yeah, this is his first UFA deal. So,
yeah. So he's got next year's the last year on this deal. Mark it, guys. May 14th. I don't know what episode number this is. I'm saying Tyson Barrie's gone by the deadline next year.
Wow. Yeah, it could be. Very well could be. Well, and honestly, with him being a free agent, he could come back, right? There's nothing stopping him, but he just have to not sign till after the expansion, which is a thing that happens.
Yeah.
Simi Varlamov also, we talked about him as well. Let's not harp on that anymore. I brought it up and regret it immediately.
Okay.
Let's move to the other series that ended, and then we'll get to the final go round. Dallas and St. Louis. Not a bad game 7.
Yeah. The series I just couldn't bring myself to watch had a pretty exciting ending. And so we'll get to, as we dump into these series, and actually we skipped it for Carolina-Boston. When we get into this next series, we'll talk about the Conn Smythe favorites. Yeah.
And for me, the performance that Mr. Ben Bishop put up in that still leaves him as like my leader in the clubhouse for the Conn Smythe, with how many shots the Dallas Stars gave up to the Blues, right? The Blues are not the highest event of teams, right?
Yep.
Pretty boring hockey St. Louis Blues play. And it's winning hockey, so they don't care, right? Their fans don't care. The rest of us kind of care. But Ben Bishop really stood on his head. I was shocked how few shots the Stars had, and how few opportunities they had. The shot count really did tell the story.
Yeah. The Dallas Stars had no business winning that game. They did not deserve to win that game. Ben Bishop deserved to win that game.
Yeah. You can't spell Bishop without OP. And that's the moral of this story.
What?
Let's carry on. Dallas Stars, they have some decisions to make this year. And honestly, for a team that was referred to in unflattering terms by their owner, or president rather, earlier this year, they did pretty well for themselves.
Yeah, they did. And I kind of feel like they were going to, regardless of not Jim Nill, I can't remember his name now, Jim Lights coming out and saying those things.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of bugs me that there were people after that series saying, oh, Dallas made it so far, and it's all because Jim Nill came out and lit a fire under them. I just don't think that's fair, because I don't think it was fair for him to make those comments when he did.
Yeah, I agree that it didn't hurt, but it certainly, this team is good no matter what anyone does or doesn't say.
Yeah, and they were going to get better regardless. Anyways,
so
that happened.
Looking at this team for next year, they are no longer paying Jason Spezza $7.5 million.
Yeah, huge relief for them.
Everyone else that's a UFA, Zuccarello, right? They knew that he was a possibility to leave. I would not be surprised to see him stay.
Me neither. But what kind of deal does he land? Like, that to me is a scary one.
I would assume, right? Because he's in like that second tier of players that are available.
Yeah.
He's not, because if you look at, like, obviously the big guns this year are all restricted free agents. Most of them aren't going to make it to market.
Yep.
So if you look at UFAs, there's really even a smaller amount. And total points from this season, if we're going to do that, you've got Duchesne, Joe Pavelski, he's probably sticking around.
Yep.
Jeff Skinner, he's at the top of that list as well.
Should be signed by now.
Yeah, but Buffalo, right?
Yep.
And then, like, I would put him in the camp of, like, I don't even know if I'd put him in that camp. Because I want to say that I'd put him in the camp of, like, Kevin Hayes and, I'd put him in that camp of, like, Hayes and Nyquist and Eberle. Like, he's in that range for me. And there's a fair amount of those. So I'm thinking he's in the range of, depending on the length, I'd say 6 million.
Yeah. So is he worth the same as Alex Radulov? You
saw the face.
Yeah. Because that's what Alex Radulov's making.
Yeah. Well,
50.
Radulov's deal was signed 2 years ago?
I think so.
Yeah, this was his second year in Dallas, I believe. And so from that perspective, this is, it would be slightly less, and I would say that he's slightly less valuable than Alex Radulov, yeah?
I think if the Stars can get him in the 5 range, it might be worth it. But how long do you want to sign a 31-year-old at $5 million a year?
That's the other thing. I mean, they don't have, as of right, that changes very quickly, right?
Yeah.
The Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin deal, but they don't have any bad deals on this team right now, which is fantastic for them.
Yeah, and the Benn and Seguin deals won't look bad for a while. They will eventually.
In due time, but, like, if you, without looking, one, how old is John Klingberg? And two, how much are they paying him?
How old is John Klingberg? I'm going to say he's 27.
He's 26.
Okay.
And how much is John Klingberg being paid?
I'm going to say they're paying him $3.5 million.
Nick is really good at this game. He's making 4.25.
Okay. I was going to say 4.5.
But his deal goes for 3 more years.
Yes.
It goes till he's 29. So for them, right, you've got a fantastic defenseman locked up.
Yeah.
For good money. You can afford $5 million even $6 million for Zook. Do it. That's my
yeah. I mean, and they've got a lot of young guys coming up too who are going to be good, who are not going to be making a lot of money for a while.
This was obviously, for those who do not watch a lot of Dallas Stars hockey, this is the first time that you figured out who Rupe Hintz was. And he might actually be really, or not really good, but, like, good.
Yeah.
I saw him and I was like, oh, this is that guy that's just a playoff performer guy, right? Comes out of nowhere, does nothing. 2nd round pick, his 2nd season in the league. And for all intents and purposes, he had a reasonable regular season, right? 22 points in 58 games. It's fine. Obviously, he's coming up party 5 goals in 13 games in the playoffs. But,
yeah.
So don't get too excited, but he might be he will be a good role player for this team into next year.
Yeah, he might be a Matt Zuccarello type.
He very well could be. And that for not $5 or $6 million.
For not $5 or $6 million. So yeah, Zuccarello, I don't know, I do $5-6 million, 5 years max, knowing the last 2 years are gonna hurt.
Oh, I wouldn't. Yeah, I would go 4. 4 is my max on that deal. If I'm going 6, he's only getting 4.
If you're going 6, he's only getting 4. Yeah, that's fair.
But, so that brings us to San Jose and St. Louis, a series that I think at the start of 2019 we all knew was coming.
I mean, it's not at the start of 2019. Yeah, no, never mind. Not at the start of the calendar year.
At the start of the playoffs, certainly a foreseeable outcome.
I've bet against St. Louis every series so far.
Well,
and I did it again this series.
See, I also did. No, I didn't actually. at the start of the series, I had St. Louis as my cup champion because I refused to say Boston.
Fair. I had San Jose as my cup champion.
Yeah. And so we're here. The series is tied up at 1. Game 3 is already done. Game 3 is going to be happening tomorrow night, in St. Louis, heading back. And after game 1, I was very certain that I was going to look like an idiot, and St. Louis were going to, as we all react to small sample sizes, I significantly overreacted.
Well, like, why? What did you think?
I saw how much St. Louis, they seemed very frustrated, right? Like,
yeah,
just watching that game and seeing how much they were taking unnecessary penalties. They were really trying to keep up with what the Sharks could do instead of doing their own game. And I was like, man, if that's how they're going to react when their backs are against the wall, this is not going to go well for them. And then they came out in game 2 and won in like moderately decisive fashion.
Yeah, I thought they were pretty decisive last night. I only caught the third period, but I didn't think San Jose got anything going, really.
No. I mean, it's my favorite stat of the playoffs, and I'm sure you also enjoy this. The stat of the first team that scores, how well they do in the game.
Okay.
This may surprise you, Nick.
Yeah.
Scoring first helps you win.
No way.
Yeah, I'm serious.
Wow.
Yeah, so scoring first helps you win, and it became a big sticking point in Game 7. Scoring first in Game 7 also helps you win.
Yes.
Yeah.
That stands to reason.
That said, St. Louis, when they do, again, because of how shut down they are, when they get that first goal, they do quite well for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, they do well for themselves when they're losing, too. I mean, they've always, I think, reacted in a strong way. Like, I'm specifically thinking back to Game 5 against Winnipeg, where they were down for most of the game.
Yeah.
In Dallas, I don't remember because I didn't watch any of the series.
Right. Noted.
And then they bounced back in Game 2 against San Jose.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
They're a team that they don't sit on their losses and stew on them.
No, they're not going to do that. So where do you see this series going? It's tied
7 games,
which is going to be fun.
Yeah.
With how I mean, the Hurricanes look great so far in Game 3, from what I've seen while also trying to record a podcast. But with how short that series likely could be, a Game 7 would be nice on the other side.
Yeah, I agree.
Unless it leaves them very tired and lets Boston win. Then wrap it up. Wrap it up real quick, boys.
Well, I mean, the teams that have swept in the playoffs so far have not done well for themselves in the following round.
You know what, Nick? I like the cut of your jib.
So thank you. I worked hard on this cut. So if Boston sweeps this round, there is a completely illogical chance that they'll lose in the Cup Finals.
Yeah, that I think logic stands to reason. If they sweep, they're done. So they should probably, which game, if you're Boston, which game do you throw so that you don't sweep, so that you don't lose?
Oh, this one.
Okay. Game 3 is the one to lose?
Game 3, yeah.
Yeah.
Or
I would try to lose 2 so that you can, Game 5 is back in Boston. Yeah, so do that.
Or you lose Game 4, because at least then you have 2-game protection.
It's true. Yeah. Smart. But
yeah, well,
we'll see what happens. Which brings us to the topic that we were going to discuss and completely omitted. Let's do our Conn Smythe picks for every team.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's a thing that we made a strong point. So let's start with this series. St. Louis, San Jose.
I think San Jose is an easy one. It's Logan Couture.
Very easy. Yeah, Logan. anytime you lead the league in playoff points, you're going to be up at the top. So, and, with 13 goals, he's almost like I'll pull up the quick numbers on here, but on a 82 game pace, he's at like, I want to say 60. It's pretty good.
That's pretty good for playoff hockey.
60
this is deep into the playoffs.
66.
Yeah.
13 goals in 16 games is a 66 goal pace.
Crazy, man. He's
Logan Couture was going to be the one that was going to beat 50 and 50 by Gretzky. No one knew. It turns out he's going to do it in the playoffs somehow. Amazing.
Unbelievable. Okay.
A little harder is St. Louis across the way.
Go ahead. Who do you think?
Well, okay, I'll give you mine because you're more convinced on your pick than I am on mine.
I think I am. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, their leading scorer is Jaden Schwartz.
Yeah.
An easier pick, but like, he's been okay. Jordan Binnington, probably less than okay. Like, there hasn't been too many games where it's like they won because of him. I would probably go Alex Pietrangelo as my pick.
Oh, dark horse, eh?
Yeah, that's again, like, if I have to pick someone from this team, I'm going Pietrangelo. He's done quite well for himself. I've been impressed with his play, and that's my pick.
Interesting. Who picks the Conn Smythe anyways?
I think it's literally just Gary Bettman. He just sits back there and he just names the first name that comes to his mind.
Well, it's not going to be Pietrangelo, though, because how's he going to pronounce that?
That's true. I mean, I feel like I did a pretty good job. Someone will tweet us and say, Carl, you messed up his name. But that's fine.
You did a good job with that one. My pick was not Pietrangelo. My pick was going to be Jaden Schwartz, but you so quickly just swept him out of the way.
No, I don't disagree with it. He's had a very good playoffs.
I think he's driven their offense most nights.
Yeah, I would say that's correct.
And that's why I think that it will be him, because he keeps finding ways to produce. I think Jordan Binnington is going to be a popular conversation, just because of the overall story of his season. But I agree with you. I think in the playoffs, he's been pretty okay.
Yeah. I mean, in the same way that, like, his season led to a conversation about the Calder, but it's not going to be Elias Pettersson.
Yeah, totally.
It doesn't matter. Let's move to the East. Boston Bruins. This one for me is an easier one, but I know it's harder for you. So I'm going to let you start this one off. Who do you have for Boston?
I don't know. I don't want it to be Brad Marchand. I don't. I think that Tuukka Rask should be up there. I think he's played great. So I'm going to say Tuukka Rask. I mean, there've been other standouts, just no one who I think has been like wow. Yeah.
I'm also taking Tuukka Rask after all that. And it's Tuukka, and I don't think it's that close. Marchand's been good, certainly. But Rask has had those games where he is the reason that they've won.
Yeah. I would just be nervous that he would fall over and drop the trophy on his way off the ice.
It's fine. He's already won it. Season's done. It's not like don't let Tuukka pick up the Eastern Conference trophy, whatever they call it. Don't let him do that.
It would be a great clip to add to his hilarious highlight reels of just falling over on the ice.
So knowing what your stance was last week, how angry does it make you when they refuse to pick up that trophy?
I think it's dumb. Like, I don't know. I don't get angry, but you won the trophy. Like, feel free to pick it up and celebrate and feel happiness.
Yeah.
It's not like me touching this piece of metal is going to affect whether or not I win the next series.
Are you sure? There's evidence. I mean, you are sporting a very nice playoff beard right now.
Thank you. It's not for the playoffs.
Okay.
It's actually because the weather has been so terrible here that I can't muster up the energy to care.
Wow, you need a vacation.
I need some sunshine, Carl.
Yeah. I mean, you're wearing that beard for warmth, which is really what you're doing.
Yeah, except like people at work have started noticing. They're like, "Are you okay?"
It's nice you're surrounded by people who care.
Your beard's really coming in these days, but they say it with the "Are you okay?" tone.
Yeah.
And then I get defensive.
I just look nice, okay?
Yeah, I like the way it looks.
Yeah, that's fine.
And they're like, "Yeah, me too."
You're doing great, bud.
Get out of here, Karen.
Dang it, Karen. This one for me, next is the hardest, the Hurricanes. Like I mentioned to you my pick ahead of time. It was Sebastian Aho.
Mm-hmm.
But I could be convinced, heartily convinced, as a matter of fact, to also go with my other dark horse of Dougie Hamilton.
Yeah, I was going to say probably a defenseman, right?
Yeah.
Dougie Hamilton, Jakob Slavin.
Slavin? I'm going Slavin.
I don't know. Slavin. I don't know.
Just remember there's it's not Jacob because there's two C's in it.
It's Jakob.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably go one of the defensemen. Warren Fogel's kind of cooled down.
Yep. Agreed. And it is certainly a recency bias contest as well.
Yeah, for sure it is.
You have 2 or 3 game winners the rest of the way out, and you're winning that trophy. Right? You have 2 game winners in the Stanley Cup Finals, and that's your trophy. Especially if you do it in overtime.
For sure.
That's how you do it. That's how the professional hockey writers, the group that vote on it, the Professional Hockey Writers Association.
Oh, there you go.
They're the ones who will be picking you to win the Conn Smythe.
So there's still a chance for Greg McKegg to win the Conn Smythe Trophy.
I mean,
he's to pot a couple OT winners.
If Greg McKegg, one of the greatest names in the game today, doesn't get his name on a trophy, I'll be upset.
I agree. That name needs to be in hockey history somewhere.
Yeah, it's true.
I saw a really good, I don't know if it was a tweet or something, but someone said, do you think when his mom got mad at him, she called him Gregory McKeggery? I couldn't even get through it without laughing. I don't even know why it's so funny. It's dumb.
Do you... so if your last name is McKegg, right? That's not something that he gained later in life, unless he got married and he took his wife's name, or just changed it because he wanted to. But they knew naming him that he would be Greg McKegg. Did they go full Gregory? I assume you just put Greg McKegg on his birth certificate, no middle name or anything, because there's no other third name that rhymes with it.
Oh, I feel like if you didn't put it, if it's not Greg McKegg just straight up, then that's a parenting fail.
Yeah. Like, especially don't make it his middle name. Do not make his middle name Greg, and that's what he chose to go by. According to Wikipedia, he has no middle name. It also
middle name.
Not enough information about Greg McKegg to find out about it, but I'm efforting.
Great. See, these are the tough questions that Kyle Buskakis should be asking.
Yeah. Does Hamilton the pig know the answer to that question?
Probably not.
No.
Maybe they should interview Greg McKegg's mom instead, Meg McKegg.
On that note, let's head to high sticking.
Okay.
We wrapped up the second round. There's no need for us to talk hockey. We've done it. We've said all that needs to be said. With that reminder, Mike Laybourne told us to go and hand out two sets of prizes for this round of the playoffs. And so we did. And we drew the names because we had to reset the old table, set it up for the third round. And so the math was done, not math, the draw. I mean, it didn't take a lot of math. Numbers in a hat. Let's not make this sound harder let's make this sound as hard as humanly possible.
Yeah.
I stayed up night in, night out, and finally got the numbers.
Crunching numbers on your NASA blackboard. It's just full of numbers.
Slide rule, actually, and and one of those accounting calculators.
Yeah.
No one knows how to use. But we have two winners. Mike Filche and at M Filche on Twitter, and at T Wolfgang1, I believe, goes by the name Tom Harris in real life. His parents didn't name him two rhyming names.
They could have and should have.
Yeah. Ferris Harris.
Yeah. Wait, what was the last name?
Harris.
Harris? Yeah.
Like his sister's name is obviously Paris Harris.
Yeah. That's good. I don't know why I'm so amused by this.
I mean, you're still riding high off that Meg McKegg joke, so that's fine. To both of you, to Mike, to Tom, or I assume Tom, I believe that's what it is. Tim, maybe it's Tim. I could just look it up on Twitter as well. He has his name there. Tim Harris. It is Tim. Sorry, Tom. Tim and Mike, send us an email, mail at thefourthlinepodcast.com, or DM us where we can send you your prize. And if you want a puck or a coaster, both of which one is holding my beverage and one is in my hand right now. So they're both great prizes, and we will send one of those out to you ASAP. You can get it on Twitter at Fourth Line Podcast to join on the fun. Every game, you pick the winner of the game and the score this round. Really hard, Nick. It's not easy.
This round? Predicting the score?
Predicting the winner.
Predicting the winner.
Everyone really wants Carolina to win.
Yeah.
Those games, not so much. And then it feels like everyone was like, okay, we're 3 games in, and I picked the underdog every single game. I'm going San Jose for game 2, and then St. Louis won.
So not a lot of points being handed out.
Not a lot of points. No, there are a total of 31 points handed out in 4 games so far.
Oh.
So it isn't anyone's game. If you have, so like our friend Ed and our friend, I'm not sure his first name actually, Cabby, Dan and Ed, they both got 3 points last night and skyrocketed up the standings. So congrats to them.
There you go.
So head to Twitter, head to thefourthlinepodcast.com. You can find more. And if you're looking for, I know if you're in Alberta, you're not, or really anywhere in Canada right now, you are not sitting there wanting to buy tickets to hockey games. One hot ticket. Do you know how much tickets are going for the Raptors for this next series against the Bucks?
Oh, I don't know. A lot, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Not Leafs prices, but a lot.
Yeah, I would say like in the hundreds for sure.
Oh, easily. Yeah.
But if you wanted to get those a little bit cheaper, or if you have a concert you're going to, head to seatgiant.ca. And let's say you are there and you're spending hundreds of dollars. Well, we'll save you 5% with offer code APN. APN for the Alberta Podcast Network. Head on over to seatgiant.ca, find your tickets to any event, and you automatically save 5%, which sounds too good to be true. It's not. That is literally what will happen.
Go to Seat Giant so you can see Giants.
Yeah, you could.
The basketball game because they're so tall.
Or San Francisco Giants. They're playing the Blue Jays right now.
Oh, yeah, it's even better.
Yeah, you could see Giants play.
Yeah.
I almost managed to swing both when I was down there, but unfortunately it was a week apart and I couldn't just take a week off.
Yeah. Would be nice though, wouldn't it?
Oh man, it would be real nice. It turns out the first week of your new job, you shouldn't just take it off though.
Yeah, that wouldn't be wise.
No, that's a bad way to get a career started. So I didn't. Thanks for tuning in this week. We will be back next week. Probably. We still need to sort that out. Nick,
right.
On a vacation.
I am going on vacation.
Yeah.
Next week. Not to sunny lands, but
I mean, I hope it's beautiful weather for you.
I do too. It's just it always rains in Vancouver. So hopefully we get a good balance this time.
Yeah. Nick's heading out to the West Coast. He's just gonna fly over me, I'll wave at him, say hi.
Yeah.
And so we will see what comes. I do not have a definitive plan for next week's show yet. You can assume it'll probably be there early Monday. If it happens, it's early Monday. That's when it'll be. Because it's a long weekend, and we'll knock that out right after I watch Game of Thrones.
All right.
Yeah. Gonna do that. Gonna finish watching this Bruins Hurricanes game, which has been, it's looked, again, doing a podcast while doing it, looks pretty good. So I'm gonna go watch some hockey, eat some dinner. You don't need to know the details.
Well, then it sounds like it's time for us to wrap up another Fourth Line show. I know what you're thinking. You don't want us to go. There are only 4 teams left to go. And if you want the Bruins to win, I'll ban you from the show. It really fell apart when I realized my third line was the exact same as my second line.
That's fine. Another option could have been, it's time for us to wrap up another Fourth Line show. I know what you're thinking. You don't want us to go. We will watch the Bruins and the Canes. I just found out I don't know what rhymes with Greg McKegg.
That was amazing.